Josh Frydenberg, thank you so much for joining me. Listen, the national accounts figures, other data in our show, wages per person, the earnings are down. We're seeing also people are running through their savings, and we're seeing house prices obviously falling fast in the big cities. Spending is also very soft. This is painting a very grim picture for the new year.
I actually take a different view to you, Andrew, on these numbers. At 2.8% GDP growth through the year, Australia is growing faster than any other G7 nation except the United States. We're growing faster than the OECD average, and we're growing significantly faster than the economy was when we inherited it from the Labor Party just over 5 years ago. Now, you refer to the household savings ratio. At 2.4%, this actually reveals two things. First, that with historical low interest rates, people would prefer to spend their money than necessarily put it in the bank. But also, secondly, people have confidence in their job, in the economy that they are spending. The times when savings ratios were much higher was, for example, during the GFC, when there was a lot of instability and insecurity in the economy. So in these numbers, we've actually seen exports jump, household consumption is up, government spending both at a Commonwealth and a state level on infrastructure is up, and when you look around the world, Australia can be very proud of its economic trajectory.
You're correct to say 2.8% annual growth is healthy when you look around the world. I think America is streeting us there, but very few other countries are. But in 3 months, that annual growth has gone from 3.4% to 2.8%. That's a heck of a slowing. And I'm just thinking, despite the headline number being good, people in their pockets aren't feeling it at all.
Well, real wages growth has been slower than we would have liked, but we saw only a week or so ago the wages price index come in at 2.3%, which is a euphemism for growth in wages. And that was the biggest single jump in 3 years. And no lesser authority than the Reserve Bank Governor himself has said, as the economy continues to grow, you will see the labour market continue to tighten, and the spare capacity in the labour market will be eaten into, and wages will rise. Our record has been around jobs growth. Over 1.1 million jobs have been created. And what your viewers may be interested to know, that over the last financial year, Andrew, more young people in the ages of 15 to 24 got a job, over 100,000, than at any other time on record. We've also seen female workforce participation rates and seniors participation rates at record highs. This is a sign that the economy is working and our economic plan is working.
Except, of course, 2/3 of the jobs growth over the last, say, 5 years has gone to immigrants. So I'm saying it's not really helping locals as much as the headline figures suggest. I'm just wondering, the budget forecasts were predicated on growth going up to 3.5%. We're now seeing it fall to 2.8%. Does that mean that the budget for surplus that you're going to announce in the April budget, the April 2 budget next year, that surplus is very likely to disappear in the budget after?
Actually, the budget was looking at growth at around 3%. So this is slightly below that for 18-19, but we've still got a number of quarters still to go. The Australian economy is growing well, and we are going to deliver the first budget surplus in over a decade next April. That will be a very significant moment, particularly when you consider that the Labor Party last delivered a budget surplus back in 1989, and Wayne Swan promised for budget surpluses which never eventuated. Debt was growing at more than 30% a year under the Labor Party, unemployment was rising, and investment confidence was in freefall. So it's a very different economic message, Andrew, under us than what you've seen under the Labor Party in the past, and we know...
Josh, you don't have to tell me about Labor's shocking record on budget deficit, debt and deficit.
High taxes.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct about their previous record, and this worries me. Whoever comes into government, presumably in the May election, whether it's you or Labor, will be facing an economy that seems to me, chances are it's going to be a lot weaker than we've been expecting, that almost all the forecasters were expecting for most of the last year or two. If growth really is around 2.8% rather than 3 to 3.5, which was being predicted, then people have certainly got to check their policies that they've been promising so far. And Labor in particular, what will be the forecast that you think, the kind of economy, whoever inherits it on April 2, what do you think the economy going forward is going to look like?
Well, under Labor, unemployment will be higher, debt will be higher, and taxes will be higher. That is what they're promising the Australian people. I mean, their tax policies, Andrew, have to be seen to be believed, particularly their new retirees tax, which is, going to hit over 900,000 individuals and 200,000 self-managed super funds. These are people who've saved for their own retirement. When they came up with their new big property tax, with their plans to abolish negative gearing as we know it and increase the capital gains tax on investment properties, the property market was going up. Now the property market is going down. There couldn't be a worse time for that policy. And you've seen from the Master Builders Association say that Labor's policy will lead to 32,000 fewer jobs and 42,000 fewer dwellings being built. So Labor, whether it's property, whether it's retirement savings, your income, your business, or indeed your electricity bill with their 45% emissions reduction target, prices will go up, taxes will go up under Labor.
Well, I'm completely agreeing with Josh Frydenberg, with you making the point that Labor developed its policies on housing at a time when housing prices were very high. Now they're falling. I think those policies now need a major revision. They're out of date, out of time. But I'm looking forward to the forecast, whoever is in government. We were told that it was going to be growth between 3 and 3 going up to 3.5%. It's now gone down to 2.8%. So I'm asking you, the surplus that you're going to announce on April 2, the first in a decade, congratulations, but is it going to be the last for some time? Will that surplus be a one-off, do you think, whoever comes into government?
No, I don't think so. I think we're bringing the budget back into balance and indeed into surplus next year.
But it's got to have an effect, surely. A slowing economy has got to have an effect.
Look, we will obviously put out the next economic statement on December the 17th, which is the mid-year economic and fiscal outlook. But what we have done is we've reduced government spending very substantially. The growth in government spending is now down to its lowest level in 50 years. And the fact that we've got more people into employment is good news both on the revenue receipts side, but also it means less payments, particularly for welfare. And we've now got the lowest number of working age people on welfare in 25 years. That's a product of our policies and the work that we are doing. And we are focused on particularly small business, and we've made a number of significant announcements, Andrew, in recent weeks. We've legislated tax cuts for them, we're cutting red tape for them, we're providing greater access to finance. They're the policies that will stimulate the more than 3 million small businesses which employ around 70% of those in the private sector workforce.
Well, let me just try a last time on this point and reduce it to this question. Isn't it absolutely beyond question that in an economy that is growing much slower than predicted, that's got to have an impact on the surpluses that were forecast before?
Well, actually, we're seeing improvements in the budget compared to previous estimates. So if you, for example, look at our final budget outcome for 2017-18, it was a $20 billion improvement. So I'm very confident in our numbers, Andrew. This number at 2.8% is not far off the budget forecasts, and we are seeing very strong jobs growth across the economy, infrastructure rollouts, residential housing construction, and so forth. So let's keep focused on the positive, which these numbers do show, but let's also be very wary of the alternative, which is the Labor Party's tax and spend approach, because they think that you can tax people into prosperity, which we know is a failure of an idea.
Josh Frydenberg, thank you very much for your time.
Always good to be with you, Andrew.